Hey there, guys. It's Mia here. I am so excited, always excited, super excited about the results incubator today. I have the opportunity, the great fortune to interview one of my clients who is awesome. And as always, I love to have the opportunity to share with you clients who've created amazing results and they get to share their story. My hope is that as a result of you hearing them, that maybe their story, their journey, what they had to overcome to create the success that they've created, that will support you in understanding it is absolutely possible. The fact of the matter is we are all the same. We have the same desires, the same goals, but a lot of times it's just that one or two things that you need to know that makes all the difference. I'm Mia Redrick, business and life consultant. I got started in my company a long time ago, over 20 years ago, and I made a decision. I wanted to figure out how to take my background as a corporate trainer and my systems and package those into a product where I could support high achieving women with understanding that what you know is exceptionally valuable. Fast forward today, I've coached thousands of women literally all around the world, and I love it. And my clients are smart, they're sharp, they're action takers, and they're go-getters, and they're just good, solid people who understand being authentic is your superpower. And so tonight, I'm excited to have the opportunity to share with you one of my clients who is my special guest tonight, Connie Rhodes. And Connie, are you here?
I'm here.
You can hear
Hi,
me.
Mia.
Okay, awesome. And you look amazing. So,
Thank you.
Connie, for our audience, tell them who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Hi, I'm Connie Rhodes. I'm the executive director and founder for Restoration Incorporated and Restoration Incorporated Ministries, and also culturally competent consulting. I'm also known as the peace promoter because I support people who have gone through trauma, individuals, children, families, communities who've gone through trauma, especially around as it relates to gun violence.
Yeah.
And the way that I serve my community and I serve my clients is using healing circles and trauma informed practices, spiritual wellness, wholeness to impact the young people that we serve and also the adults and communities and businesses that we serve. We also do diversity, equity, inclusion work using a trauma informed lens as well.
I love this. Okay. And it's so needed today. Your skills, your background, and your experience. You have a significant background. And when I met you, what I loved is that you were already a rock star. Already, you had the ability to create amazing results for others and already had done that. And it was so exciting to be able to play with you outside of the lines creatively in terms of packaging your knowledge. So, I'm just interested in knowing from you, what is it that you see for yourself, like over the next, year or two? What is it that Connie wants to see happen as a result of the work that you create?
Well, what I would love to see happen is to see Restoration Incorporated expand to become a global organization that would help people all over the world. I really would love to do that. And the culturally competent consulting, I really like to see us make an impact in this, in the climate that we're in, where diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important. I love to see us continue to break down barriers and make it easier for people who are in the workforce to be able to go to work and feel safe and not have to worry about, oh, I don't look like that person, or I don't dress like that person, whatever. But there's some equity in the workforce, and so I think we really are making a difference in that area. But I'd love to make even a greater impact over the next few years.
I love this, and you're so suited for this. Now, when I met you, one of the things that I loved was that your work is impact work. And the women that I tend to attract are people who have already created an amazing impact. They're giants in every single way. What would you say was one of the biggest ahas you had as a result of us having the opportunity to connect? Like, did you see my webinar for the first time, or is that how we met?
Yeah. So it's really just so touching because and I'm on here so I can tell the story of how it happened. I left my I've been working for somebody for 30 years. Had always had my business in the back burner. And COVID, right before COVID hit in
Mhm.
February, I left a job that I had kind of built from the ground up. I was working for someone else in healthcare, and working with gunshot wound victims. And I went to sleep. I went to sleep one night, and I said, you know what? I had seen your free lives that come on Facebook, and I'm like, wow, is this free? Is this free? And I'm like getting all this information, and I was searching for somebody to help me because the Lord had led me to leave and start your own business. You need to go full time in Restoration Inc. And I was so scared. And so I was watching you on live, I was watching other people, but I was really drawn to you because you were so authentic, so genuine. And, I just felt like you understood and you work with women and you were somebody that could help me. And so I went to sleep and I had a dream. And in the dream, it was like Mia Redrick, like that, will help you, just like that. That's all I can. I was like, okay. So I get up, all excited, like Mia Redrick will help me. So I like, go and trying to find out. And then that's how I reached out to you. I ended up going to the amazing conference that you had virtually. And I think it might have been the first year you had done it virtually. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
it was absolutely amazing, life changing,
So
life changing.
I didn't know. So first of all, I didn't realize that's how we
Yeah,
connected. And I do work with a lot of people who God is their center of everything and their divine influence. And I love that God's the center of my life as well.
yeah,
And I love that you had a whisper and that you didn't allow that whisper to be a whisper. You leaned into it and you made a difference by stepping into that for yourself. And then we had the opportunity to work together at the Giant Experience Master Training. And you came to the training, and there you learned about packaging, pricing, positioning, and finding buyers, like taking all of your years of experience and putting it in a system. So, was there something that you learned there that, even though you are already tremendously accomplished, that made a difference for you in terms of your perspective or your mindset
yeah.
that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I definitely would. Being a graduate of the University of Chicago, one of the most, renowned schools in the world, right?
Yeah.
And, having had years of experience in the field of social services and trauma reduction, I was not in the right mindset. I didn't even realize my own worth. And I think that was the biggest takeaway
Mm,
that yeah, it was life changing because you really spoke to the women who were there, like who were there in person and who were virtual, like
yeah.
myself, but really just uplifted the fact that your value, what you have is valuable, that you can do this. All you need is the structure to do it.
Yeah.
And your coaching and training provides that structure. And it's like very, you know, simple to follow. At least I think, it's, here's what to do, here's a roadmap. You're so transparent about your journey. And I think that meant a lot to me too, because you're very transparent, you know, and you were like, this is what I did, this is how I did it. So many times I see people who are not as transparent, or they don't want to say, here is my journey,
Yeah.
they, so I felt that when I was on that training, I just felt like such a sense of like somebody, like the wind beneath my wings. Like I had the idea, I knew what I wanted to do, but you gave us that wind, I feel like, that let me soar. And so the mindset for me was probably the most impactful thing. Um, the tools that you gave are what helped me be able to make the money, right? But which were amazing, right? Step by step how to do these things. But I listen, I would give people stuff. Uh, People would ask me to do, companies, schools ask me to do trainings. I do the training. Sometimes I'd be like, well, you don't have to worry about paying me, or, I would say, oh, it's okay. I want to give back to the community, which I do give back to the community
Yeah.
a lot. But I wasn't looking at my self-worth. Deep
Yeah.
down inside, I didn't think what I had was was something that you could build out at a high level. And
At a high
so,
ticket.
a high ticket. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I had never thought of myself in that way. So, that was probably the most impactful thing that happened, was that mindset changed, which I started there and kept following and kept coming onto the calls and listening and going onto my portal and reading and learning from your business system. And so I think that you just offer such great support, and I needed that. I needed somebody to kind of hold my hand and say, "You can do it. You got this." I really needed that.
So I love this because what I recall, and you tell me if I'm not remembering this correctly, what I recall was that we had an opportunity, and we don't want to name the company or anything like that, but we had an opportunity where there was the price you wanted to charge, and then there was what the real value of what this was. And what I love about you is that you were exceptionally teachable and coachable, because you could have the right mentor, you could have the right advice, but if you're not willing to show up for yourself and claim what is available to you, then nothing happens and nothing changes.
Yeah.
But you shared what was going on, and we talked about how to close, how to sell, and what it should be. And you went right in and immediately created for yourself, after the giant experience. It was pretty fast, like a high ticket result, right?
Yeah,
So
within weeks.
okay,
Yeah, within
within
the, like,
weeks.
I think 6, 7 weeks or so. Yeah.
So in 6 or 7 weeks, you closed over a significant amount. I don't know if you want to say what it is,
Yeah.
but a
Yeah. About a
significant
hundred
amount.
thousand dollars. Yeah.
That's significant,
It's
right? Like,
big.
okay,
I
right.
never made $100,000, period, Mia. You understand? I went to University of Chicago. I worked for these big. I never made $100,000 in 1 year, ever,
That's
ever,
amazing. So
ever.
isn't it interesting, because I think that your story is a story of so many, and the women that are watching and the women that will watch this replay. The fact of the matter is, just because we haven't done it doesn't mean it's not available to us. One.
Correct.
And sometimes we need to have the accountability, right? And we also need to know how to evaluate what our value is. And I think a lot of times, and if I'm just honest about it, a lot of times when I work with a lot of women and a lot of women of color, and women of color often have been so devalued in our culture. There have been so many people out there who are takers, who have benefited by not honoring our value, right? Although you're talented and you're amazing and you're gifted and you deserve it. And I think once you understand that framework of what you should be charging, you're able to own that. But not only that, having the accountability to have to go and ask for what you deserve, and then come on a call and say, did you do it or not? You remember that, right?
Yeah. And what was so, I think, impactful for me around, I did not know how to do it. Right.
Yes.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
Right. So you gave me the tools to do it. You
Yeah.
gave me the encouragement to do it. And being in the cohort model, being on the call with the other giants, it's like everybody is like, encouraging each other, and we sit at your feet and listen and talk, and you talk to us one-on-one on the calls, and you were able to present a case scenario. And I remember being so scared, um, because, as this, with consulting, like, when it's booming, it's booming. So I was getting calls, and people were reaching out for me, and so these different opportunities were coming up, and I just followed your your system to the T. Because this is what I said to myself: she's successful, she's done it, she knows how to do it. So it's no sense in me trying to figure out, like, oh, well, I know how to run a healing circle. I know how to help people in trauma. I know how to, teach about diversity, equity, inclusion, and create fun ways to do that. But what I did not know is how to package it, and how to market it, and then how to not only sell it, because it really doesn't feel like selling. I remember you said that
Yeah.
one of the first times.
Hmm.
That is not like selling on the Giant Experience. You mentioned that, and I'm like, that in my mind, I'm like, that is selling. I don't like selling, but it's not selling. You tell us it's just a conversation. You find out what what I had to find out what the clients needed, right?
Yep.
What
Hmm.
was their goal? What was their problem? And help them come up with a solution.
That's right.
So how much is the solution worth? You know?
Yeah,
And
that's right.
so when I just wrote up the same way that you write up your proposals. I just pretty much I just copied it,
Yep.
and you don't care, you want us to do it, you have
Yeah,
it on the template, right? So
that's
I
right.
just pretty much said it's worth this, and this is what I'm get I can give you
Yeah.
this price, and et cetera and so forth. And just stood in my value, knowing that what I have to offer is life changing,
Yeah.
and it's very impactful, and it solves solutions for so I've been able to solve problems for so many organizations thus far, including at a couple of our cities. I'm out in the Twin Cities, so I do. One of the things I learned from you is that, hey, you know what? With the type of business that you have, in addition to the consulting, I talked about my violence prevention work, and gun violence reduction work. And so you said, hey, I want you to look at contracting. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember telling me that.
Yeah.
Look at, federal contracting, state contracting. I was always doing some work with the cities where I am. And so here in the Twin Cities, I am just happy to be consulting with, the city of Minneapolis, and the city of St. Paul, and the state of, Minnesota just recently. I have am part of the White House initiative. So it's just like it has just been uphill, and I don't think I would have been able to do it if you hadn't taught me what you taught me. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Like, I'm a totally different person than I
So
was
I
when I
love,
first met
I
you.
thank you. Well, thank you for showing up for yourself. And how cool is this? I think one of the things that we have significant in our community also, Connie, you have to go on mute because I hear like clicking. One of the things that I think is significant also are the kind of women that we have the opportunity to collaborate with. We call them giants, right? And I only work with giants because literally, like, if you want to change your life, you got to change your mindset. You got to change your models. You got to change your methods. You got to be willing to be accountable for the life that you see in your mind's eye. And those are the kind of women that I love. I mean, and I've seen my clients, you've seen them too, over and over again, very quickly be able to step into that next level for themselves because they embrace for the very first time a new way of doing things. And what I love that you shared is that every single thing that I teach my clients, I've done myself. So, I'm not telling you that I can create a result. I'm not telling you that I've worked with this number of people and you don't see the proof. I'm not, I show my clients exactly what I have done. And I think that that's what a great mentor will be able to do. That's what you guys all learn. If you create a result, you can demonstrate that you can create results for others. And I always like to ask this. This is going to put you on the spot because I know you don't know the answer to this question. But is there a person inside of our community, inside of the giant community, in the giant circle, who, when you saw their story or heard their story, it inspired you in some way? And if so, I'd love to hear that story. And the reason that I always ask people who come to the giant, who come to the results incubator, this question is because it's very easy for me to say, hey, we're a great community. But you guys actually experience the community. You know how the kind of women we attract and the kind of results that people create, and the kind of change that they create. Is there someone? So who would you say, Connie? Can you hear me? You have to unmute.
I can hear you. We just have some little static, it sounds like.
Okay. All right. So was there a person that inspired you?
Wow, there were so many. Um, I that I can remember sitting in the conference conference, and then I believe Yaya was there. We heard her story, and then there was Audrey, and I remember being impacted by her story, and the Rose Show, Rashawn Pratt, and I just was like, wow, wow, and I so long to wish that it hadn't been COVID season, and I could have actually been at the event that had happened the year before. So, yeah, I think all the stories, actually, when I read the stories and I hear them talk on the call, I'm inspired by so many of the giants that are there, different walks of life and different stories and journeys and how they got to where they are. So inspired. And I think that just gives me life. It just makes me feel so supported to be in a community of giants.
I love that too, because it's not as if you guys come to a call and it's call after call and you can't hear or see someone's journey and the results that they create. So, people aren't just like setting up a website or coming up with a different, like you can come up with who you are, what you do, who you serve, and that's it. But you guys are stepping into it. And right away, many of my clients pitch right away. They're selling right away. Many of them are taking those risks in terms of leveraging opportunities that they have never thought of before, whether it's that they're pitching for television segments or a television show, or whether it's that they're pitching for an opportunity with a corporate brand or working as a consultant at the highest level or selling something they've never done before. And I love what you shared, because all of those women are giants in their own right, whether it was that, in Rashonda's case, she wanted to replace her full-time income from her job as a producer. And she did exactly that her first year working with me. And that's beautiful. Or Audra closing her first deal for $48,000. That's pretty cool. And then, Jasmine going from $97 to wanting to hit six figures, $97 per product, wanting to hit six figures and closing over $100,000 her first year working with me. And it's gone on and on from there. But the fact of the matter is, those stories are real. And when we're on those calls, you have an opportunity to meet the giants live and in person. And they aren't, just people who are getting on and not doing the work. And it's not your own ambition level and above, which I believe personally, you need to be in an environment where there is growth. And when the community is growing, it because you see what people are doing. They're pitching, they're selling, they're making offers, they're stretching themselves, they're growing their mindset, etc. What is the one thing that you'd say for you changed everything? So, it could be a book that you read. It could be something that you learned. It could be something internal that you've done. If you were giving someone some advice, anyone that's listening here today, what's the one thing for you that changed everything for you?
I think just taking a chance, right? That would be my advice. If you're on here and you're listening and you're tuning in, or maybe you're trying to figure out if you should do it or not. And I can tell you, I was that person. I was wondering, should I do this or not?
Mm-hmm.
And just not wanting to even invest in myself. Had never invested myself at a high level. Yeah, even from just all kinds of things. Always looking for something on sale. Not if I want it, not get it if it.
Yeah.
Just a whole mindset of that. And I think that just saying, you know what, I'm worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worth the investment, and stepping out on faith, and stepping out and just listening from an expert. It's nothing like hearing from an expert, learning from an expert, right?
Right.
And so you're a giant. You're a massive giant. So learning from you, it's just been. It's not something that you can go to school, for in like 4 years. Go to school for 4 years and you still don't get this information. So I just think, that to me is probably the biggest advice that I would give people, is to step out to because once you do, your life is going to be change forever. So
It's so interesting to me. I agree with you, and it's so interesting to me. I think if you can go on mute, so interesting to me because I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think that everything starts with a believing in yourself, knowing that you're worth it. You know, they're not going to be ever any guarantees, right? Like they're not any guarantees, but I can guarantee this: that if you don't invest in yourself at the highest level, you'll be in the exact same place, right? So there are no guarantees that if you invest with someone that you're going to hit six figures in 6 months, because nobody knows if you're going to, do the work or not, or in 1 year or anything like that. I mean, that is all on you. And, you have to be determined to do that. But the fact of the matter is, if you do nothing, you'll be in the exact same place. And I love working with people who are highly actionable, who will make that commitment to show up for themselves, because when they do, we get to elevate our community in tremendous ways. And that's why I enjoy, we enjoy the community, because people come to the calls and you never know what you're going to hear. And literally, it could be in any moment that somebody just showed up for themselves. But because they showed up for themselves, they showed up for everyone else, right? Because it's not a static community, and it's not a community where I have to have all the answers. The truth of the matter is the clients bring so many amazing scenarios because they're out there playing, that it makes the calls amazing, right? Like that's what I really love about it. And that, that's the value. Now, I think that there's someone out there that is listening to this replay, or you're watching this live, and maybe you've got a question. This is so good. This conversation is amazing. And I know that you're inspired watching this on, all the different channels that we have it on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and, and Twitter. But if there is a question that you have specifically for Connie, we would love to hear it. We would love to hear it. And so feel free to post your question here. And because I think that when we're having authentic conversations, it's a great way for you to get your questions answered. So don't be shy and don't be afraid. Like, you've got to be vulnerable to get your questions answered. I would say that, the Giant Experience Master Training is online. And we've been running it since 2020, August of 2020. I can't believe it's 2 years. We've been running the master training online for 2 years, because we started it during COVID as a solution for people who were home. And you would think that, master training online, that it's going to be that same old, kind of sit in your seat in this boring material, PowerPoints all over the place, and you may or may not get what you need. And I think that we do a really great job of connecting with our clients and really making sure that your specific questions around how to take your knowledge and how to package it, or what it could look like, that comes to life for you, and really helping clients understand that, based on what you bring to the table, your background, your gifts, and your talent, how to price what it is that you do, or how to position your marketing in a way that competition becomes irrelevant. Because, like today, everybody thinks like competition is like this big thing. And the truth of the matter is, your clients choose you because you're you. Like, my clients choose me because I'm a spiritual centered person. They choose me because family is exceptionally important to me. They choose me because what I teach them, I've done and I can demonstrate. It's simple. Okay. And the fourth thing is understanding how to find buyers and knowing how to sell in a way that's distinct to your industry. Right. So, the Giant Experience is very niched in that way. And I would say that it is an online training, but it's different than a lot of trainings. And you tell me, for you, like, what was that experience like for you specifically?
So for me, I was so excited to be there before time, because when I took it, you had a you it would be on before we started,
Yeah.
and you know there was opportunity before and after to kind of talk with you. Not even sure of the technology, how you were able to do that, but we were all kind of watching together, which I thought was pretty cool. And you were able to answer questions, and you just so available for people. And I think we don't see a lot of that when you do online trainings. It's like, webinar, and it's good information, but it's not relational. And so
Yeah.
what I found in that your training, this mastermind training, it's relational. And so you're getting good information, but you're also hearing from people. You're hearing the women who are in the audience. You're hearing their questions. You can ask your
Yeah.
own questions. And so I was just taking notes and writing questions. And I remember having this question that I'm like, when I first came on, I said, I need to know this answer. Where do you get the clients? I didn't know where I'm gonna get these people. Who's gonna pay me this? I'm trying to figure it out. And so you got to that point, you're like, I was like, this is it, this is it. And so just in the portal, those are your clients. We have access to, trainings in addition to the training that the mastermind provides, which to me is like an intensive. It's like being immersed in, in learning. And so like an immersion course, if you will. Yeah. So
So
that was the biggest thing.
I love your perspective because I think that's really important to know, what's different about it today. I think you have to mute when I'm talking because we get a crunchy sound. And and I think that's really important for people to understand. The Giant Experience Master training is an intimate training where I get to connect with you and we get to turn the lights on and you get to figure it out. And sometimes it's not that you even know what it is. Sometimes it's that somebody else is asking a question and that question is something you needed but you didn't know to ask. And when you hear that person answer, get an answer, it's something that you can really use, and none of it is fluffy, none of it's generic, and it's all the whole product is built for your results, right? It's not just a training to have you there for hours and know that what I'm giving you is just it has high perceived value, but the reality is that I know that when you walk away, all my clients are going to be able to take something they've learned and put it into action right away that can create amazing results for them. So, in closing, what is something that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you that you think is important? And this is the last call if you have a question for Connie. This is a really great conversation around, how to take what you're doing and how to be a rock star at it and go from where you are to six figures, which she's done, just being brilliant and being amazing. So, what's something I should have asked you? I know you don't know this because I never told you that I was going to ask you this at all. But what's something I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
Maybe asking, what was I afraid of?
Ooh.
Yeah.
What were you afraid of?
Yeah. What was I afraid of? And yeah, having come from, I grew up I grew up poor, struggling, um, had children, and, was, and we struggled, even with my background, even with my, background, just because of some other choices and things. So it makes it who you partner with too, right? That's really important too. But
Yeah.
just the life circumstances, and so I was really afraid to invest, afraid to invest, fear of not having enough, fear of not being able to do it. What
Yeah.
if I can't do it? What
Yeah.
if no one wants to get it? What if no one believes? What if I can't do it? And so I was really afraid of that. Just really,
Mhm.
really fearful. And I hate to admit that because I'm not a person that says that, like, I don't, I'm out in
Mhm.
the streets and working with, gang and clique affiliated youth. I've been doing that for years and people in trauma, but I'm not afraid there. But I was really fearful of this level of, you know, accountability, but also this level of standing in my value. So
Yeah.
something I hadn't done
Sure.
before.
So what allowed you being afraid, but what allowed you to say yes to yourself? And despite being afraid, you know, despite being afraid, move forward, because there are other people out there that are listening right now. They're afraid of the investment. They're afraid of, like, what if this doesn't work? You know what I mean? You know, what if I'm coaching these people at high ticket and I don't create results for them? I mean, like, they're thinking all these things, right? So what allowed you to move forward despite the fear?
I think that I had that dream, and I heard your name in the dream. And I think so that gave me some like trust. And then listening to you over and over again, before I even signed up, I was listening to you on these free lives. I was listening. I would go back and try to find some more, and just listen. I think that's what allowed me. I gained more and more trust the more I saw and listened. And then I just stepped out there because I said, you know what? I want to learn from somebody who's done it, right? I don't want to read a book about it, which, it's good to read books. I'm not saying it's not, but I wanted to learn from somebody who had done this, and you've done it, and I'm glad I listened. So, yeah.
I love this. And Kathy, who's a giant, a new giant in our community, has written, I commend your honesty, Connie, and I admire your courage. I actually think you guys would be great connecting with one another. She's awesome. You both are awesome. And she's a new giant in the community. And then also someone wrote, the fear question is a good one. It gets in the way. Absolutely. And fear is the enemy of progress, like literally. Okay. You're always going to be afraid moving to that next level, whatever it is you want, but you never know what's on the other side unless you face your fears. When you face your fears, you get to live with a new gift. You have a new superpower, right? That you didn't know that you already had. Are there any questions, any comments? Was this good? Or was this good? I love the results incubator. It's just my way of bringing you uh, authentic, authenticity, right? Like, so you can see someone just like you who has been able to build a business, from, their idea, or repackage what they're doing into a high ticket product. Kathy also writes, um, interesting. I had a dream about me as well. I hear this a lot, actually. And I think it's a spiritual thing. And, and my commitment is always to use my gifts for good, and always use my gifts for good. And that's it. I'm here to help people broker change in this world. We do it in a lot of different ways, and I love this. And then this was a great conversation. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate your comments. It was a great conversation, and I want to thank you, Connie, for being here. And if tell us again who you are, what you do, who you serve, and if one of our listeners, 2, 10, 100 listeners, thousands of them want to reach you, how can they reach you? What's your contact details?
Thank you so much. So I'm Connie Rhodes, affectionately known as the Peace Promoter. I'm the executive director and founder for Restoration Incorporated Ministries and Culturally Competent Consulting. I support my clients who have gone through trauma, many of whom have gone through the trauma of gun violence. And I support them using healing circles and other trauma-informed practices, spiritual wellness, and holistic practices to help them overcome that trauma. So I work with individuals, families, children, businesses, and I also work with whole communities. In addition to that work that I do in the trauma field, I also do diversity, equity, and inclusion work using a healing and trauma-informed perspective. And I'm able to help our corporations and companies really design diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that are helpful and solve problems for their organizations. And so people can reach me several different ways: social media, Restoration Incorporated, social media. And then also you can reach me at our email address, begintherestoration@gmail, or info@restorationinc.com. You can also reach me on my website at Culturally Competent Consulting. So any of those places you want to reach out to me, reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you more. Love to serve you and serve your organizations and be able to bring a solution to the things that you need and the issues that you have. And I just wanted to say this is that this absolutely is amazing. I love being a part of this circle, a part of this, cohort, upward mobility and movement. And I remember, I have to say this really quick. I remember you talking about being on the Ricky Lake show. And I remember sitting in there saying, I love to be on a show. This is me. I love to do that. So I just want the listening audience to know that I was on Good Morning, CBS Morning, with Gail King. And that was really life changing for me, And so doing, she came and saw the circle work we were doing in Minneapolis when, around the trial for the murder of George Floyd. So that was really good. And since then have been interviewed. I'm going to be in the Star Tribune here. They just interviewed our team the other day. So yeah, I'm just excited, and I'm just glad that I listened and I followed you, and I appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you do for not only me but for all the giants in the circle.
You are amazing. And actually, I forgot about that, but I remember that now. And how cool is it? Georgia, new giant in our community, right? Glad I dropped it as well. I'm Georgia and getting my package built. And it's so cool. And she does healing work as well. Kathy says, wonderful. Like, Kathy's so fired up. She's amazing. She says, great work, Connie. And we're so proud of you. And I just, just keep on being a giant. I want to thank you for being an incredible guest. And I know that, there will be so many women over, the years who will watch this, and this will inspire them to show up for themselves. And that's why we do what we do, because we want to touch other people and we want to get them to show up for themselves. It's real, guys. And you can change your life by changing your choices and trusting yourself. Connie, thank you as always for being here. If the giant, if this giant conversation and the results incubator specifically has supported you, I want to encourage you to go to miaredrick.com, and I'll post the link here. And Connie, I encourage you to post your website details here in the comments. And check out miaredrick.com. You can sign up for my webinar. It's 100% free. It's a great first step. And then if you've heard enough, because you've seen enough, and you're ready to take that first step, sign up for the Giant Experience Master Training, select your date, and jump in. And I'd love to support you with packaging your knowledge into a high ticket product on or offline, even if you don't have a product already. And even if you're selling by the hour and you don't even see how what you're doing could be a high ticket product. I promise you that you are the product. So I want to thank you for being here. Again, I'll post a comment from Georgia. Awesome, Connie. Thanks, Mia. You guys are absolutely welcome. I love you, and we'll talk to you soon. Have an amazing night.